This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 124 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Just keep swimming, swimming.
Well, okay, so British people are either the evil villain or they're the wise wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
You may fire when ready.
As long as you didn't have a backpack and you had breath mints, we're all good.
And we've specifically said you mustn't do the same security training as the guys at Disneyland.
Oh, there'll be stormtroopers and secret squirrels everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Hello, Skywalkers.
Listen! Off to Neverland!
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
You are skywalking through Neverland.
Hey, Skywalkers! Welcome to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are the family-friendly Disney and Star Wars podcast that brings you entertaining stories from creators and fans. And thanks to all the family of Skywalkers out there who are joining us on our adventure through fandom, whether you are a scope walker, or a tweet walker, or a Facebook poster.
We need a new... Well, I think a General Skywalker.
General Skywalker.
Works
okay.
for everything. Not General Skywalker, but General Skywalker.
I see that.
Yes.
Just trying to distinguish who's doing what out there.
Okay.
I am Richard. And now everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife Sarah, who is the ruler of Disney Kingdom.
Disney Kingdoms?
Disney Kingdoms.
That's right. Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Have I been being distracted lately by this game on my iPad?
You're playing it right now as we speak.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. It's right there. I can see it.
No, it wasn't right here.
First
No.
it was Candy Crush, then it was Farmville.
I never
then
played
it was
Candy Crush.
No, come on.
No,
then it
I
was
played-
Disney Infinity.
I was Farmville. I got into Farmville too much for a while.
Yeah, and now it's Disney Kingdoms.
Well, yeah, Disney Infinity is still there, and I still need to play it, but it makes me sad.
But you know what? Go on with the show.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for supporting Skywalking Through Neverland throughout social media. You who are watching, we love it when you tweet at us during the show at Skywalking Pod. And most recently, when you have all been posting on our Facebook group page, you kind of post your opinions and thoughts on the show, and we love that. So thank you for doing that.
Hold on, I think someone just said face walkers.
Yes, face walkers. It's funny, like Facebook. Face walkers.
It's good to call out who's doing what out there.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
All right, did you already say your part?
I did.
All right, then I'll continue because I was being distracted.
Okay. I know Periscope's distracting.
Yes.
But, I should mention that if you're new to the show, each week we record part of the show on Periscope. So we have our Periscope walkers. We have almost 30 people here now, and social walkers. That's an idea. And they respond and they tweet at us, but they post on Periscope. Anyway, it's really fun.
Yeah.
We love
I
it.
love it. It keeps us on track and focused.
Yes.
So thanks, everyone.
Sometimes.
Now, we are recording this episode from Long Beach, California on June the 15th, 2016.
It's already the 15th?
Already the 15th.
How did this happen?
This year is 15 days away from being half over.
Are you kidding me? Why does it still feel like January?
I got news for you, honey.
I know.
Every
it's just
year you get
gonna
older, it goes faster and faster.
It's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, coming up on this episode, we get to know the Freemakers.
Who?
That's right, the Lego Freemaker Adventure family. Now, this is the new show premiering on June the 20th on Disney XD called Lego Star Wars, The Freemaker Adventures.
That's right.
And this is something I was very excited to do a show on. And luckily, our roving correspondent reporter, Kai Charles, she went out to the press conference for us and got a lot of new information.
And a sneak preview. She got to see the first episode already.
Yeah, and we have a recap of that episode. She said there was one major spoiler in the end, but she did not reveal it.
No.
But if you don't want to know anything about the Freemaker episode number 1, premiering next week, then you might want to skip over that recap of the show.
Or wait until next week to watch, I
Yes,
guess.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Or to listen. Excuse me.
Yeah, but I can say I was very excited
Oh,
to
yeah.
learn this because this is one branch of Star Wars I knew nothing about.
Exactly. And she didn't give away any spoilers, like we said. She just kind of told the beginning of the plot of the episode. So.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very exciting.
Also on this episode, we get into Celebration Europe.
That's 1 month from today.
One month.
Even if you're not going, that doesn't mean you're not going.
What does that mean?
Well, luckily, you have Skywalking Through
Oh.
Neverland right here to help you through Star Wars Celebration Europe. We have lots of interviews coming up. One this week, one next week. Trisha Barr will be covering it. When she gets,
Trisha's going and she'll have
when
so
she gets
much
back,
info.
she'll have all this fun info on it,
Yeah.
stories.
So she'll be coming on and debriefing.
But this week, we have Martin Keeler and Jed Shepard, and they're going to tell us about hashtag Cantina. Now, this is something that Mark Daniel had talked about a couple of episodes ago, and we were all like, huh? Like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
We had no idea what this was, and apparently it's like a big party, rave, and a kickoff to Star Wars Celebration Europe. And that happens the day before the convention kicks
Proper.
off on the 14th.
Right.
The convention
Thursday.
starts on the 15th. This big party will be on the 14th. And the admission price? Not that much.
No, it's £19.77. I thought that was cute. Aw.
Yeah, this party is going to feature David Collins, our friend, Mark Daniel, another friend, DJ Elliot, another friend, and so many more celebrity guest surprises. We also have a Skywalker story from Dave Parfit from adventuresbydaddy.com. We have shout-outs, the Skywalker of the week, and things we want to share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
Hi, I've lost my family.
Where did you see them last?
I forgot.
I was looking for something and Okay, totally get it. Date night. I suffer from short-term memory loss. It runs in my family. At least I think it does. Where are they?
Dory, there you are! Look out!
Oh, look at this.
Our friend got taken into whatever this place is.
It's a fish hospital.
I feel fantastic!
Listen! Just keep swimming. Mom! Dad!
Does this mean we have to say goodbye to Dory?
I don't know why I thought I could do this.
Dory, you are about to find your parents. And when you do that, you'll be
home.
Finding Dory finally opens up this Friday, June the 17th, after a 13-year wait.
Finally. You know, Finding Nemo was my absolute favorite Pixar film.
I find that's one of the films I can watch again and again and again and again and again out of the Pixar movies.
Okay, yes.
I just love every single one of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that this film is not just Finding Nemo 2, but we're spinning off to a character that was just a secondary character.
Right. Yeah, she was a supporting character, I suppose.
There was Nemo, then there was Marlin.
Yep.
Then it comes down to Dory.
I agree. Like, she's definitely like the third in line character in that movie.
So doing a sequel called Finding Dory seemed like a no-brainer, especially since, well, Ellen's been campaigning for this, Ellen DeGeneres, for years and years and years. But before we get into all of that, let's talk about our thoughts and a brief plot synopsis.
Okay, that sounds good. So far, it has a 94% rating on, or a 94% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Which is extremely good.
That is. And it is directed by Andrew Stanton.
Who directed Finding Nemo.
Exactly. It was also written by Andrew Stanton as well as co-directed this time.
And he voices Crush Dude.
Yes, he does.
Does Crush Dude make a cameo on this film? Gotta see it and find out.
You don't do the best Crush. Shh.
That's more of a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like Michelangelo.
Yeah, really the same character.
It's
they're all turtles.
Okay,
all turtles talk like that, dude.
You so totally rock, Squirt.
All right, well, let's get back to Finding Dory and tell us the plot synopsis here.
Only a year has passed since Dory had helped Marlin find his son Nemo in Finding Nemo, but now Dory begins to get flashes of her childhood and starts to wonder what happened to her family. A quest begins as Dory and her pals travel across the ocean to the Marine Life Institute in California, but there they are separated, but Dory befriends a cantankerous octopus named Hank, who helps Dory find her parents. And everyone learns a few things about the real meaning of family along the way.
Aww.
That was the spoiler-free synopsis.
Right, right.
So judging by the fact that it's a Pixar movie, and we've all seen Pixar movies, we pretty much know what's going to be happening in this film.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I wouldn't really say that we're going to spoil anything because you pretty much know what's going to happen before you step foot in a movie theater.
We know we're going to learn a few things about Dory. We know that we're going to learn a few things about family, and there's going to be a message.
And then we'll know that there'll be a lot of Easter eggs and inside jokes.
Yeah.
But we won't spoil those.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, so let's start a little bit with our initial thoughts, and then we'll get into some fun press conference stuff to really round out this whole Finding Dory segment.
All right, so this was one of the films that we were really looking forward to seeing since, 2014.
Well, yeah, since seeing Finding Nemo.
All right, since 2003.
Yeah, like we prefaced, Finding Nemo, bar none, my favorite Pixar film. I have a thing, I think ever since watching Little Mermaid, I've just had this thing with underwater movies, like Under the Sea, just really captures my imagination. And I find it just fascinating. And these worlds that are so beautiful and beautifully made by Pixar and Disney, anything like that just really...
When walking into a Pixar movie, you know you're going to get a great film.
Yes.
Without a whole lot of plot holes or things that you would wish they had cut out. But you know that it took them years just to hone down this story to something very tight and something that really moves and flows and has a lot of heart to it.
It ebbs and flows?
Sure. Sure.
Yes.
And being a summer with not a whole lot of movies, this definitely stands out.
A whole lot of tentpole movies, I suppose, yes.
I wouldn't even say a whole lot of good movies.
Okay. So anyway, needless to say, we were really looking forward to this and kind of had some high expectations.
Yeah. So were your high expectations met?
So, not quite. I have to say not quite. Dory herself is just a great character. When she was in Finding Nemo,
When she's in an ensemble.
In an ensemble cast, exactly. Yeah. And so when the focus is all on her amnesia thing kind of gets a little old.
Yeah, it's a one joke.
Yes, it is.
It's a one joke character.
Right.
And in Finding Nemo, sure, they spread it out. It works. But now that the whole film is centered around her, that characteristic just doesn't hold water.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I really wanted to like this movie a lot. And on first viewing, I didn't have that affection for it that I did for Finding Nemo. So I was a little disappointed. However, I do want to see it again. That's my overall opinion after seeing it the first time. I think my expectations were really high, and the movie kind of popped the bubble, if you will.
I got you there.
How about you?
Yeah, I felt like it was too much of a rehash of Finding Nemo.
Oh, okay.
And I just wanted something a little bit more. I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't think that the forgetfulness of her nature would fall flat after so long. But
okay.
Yeah, as cute as it was in the beginning, it just started to it's like Groundhog Day.
Oh,
a movie
okay.
that the Bill Murray movie, I just can't watch more than once because it just gets the same movie every 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, speaking of cute, though, one of the cutest things ever is little baby Dory.
Oh, the first shot is little Dory.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as it faded up on her, you can hear the kids in the audience going,
like an audible gasp.
Yeah, and that set the tone. So I was really excited and set for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying that it wasn't a good movie.
No, in fact, I do recommend you see it in the theater. I mean, what Pixar films are awesome for that.
Yeah, I think if maybe my expectations weren't so high going in,
Yes.
that maybe I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. So that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So
I
setting your
agree.
expectations.
Yes, yeah. I definitely agree with you. I think now if I want to see it a second time in the theater just now I know what to expect, and I think I can enjoy it a little more.
Yeah, and there are certain characters like Hank, voiced by Ed O'Neill, who's always that same cantankerous Al Bundy or Jay Pritchett from
Yes.
Modern Family, that type who's always very, very gruff, but that's the character that ends up having the biggest heart.
Okay, yeah.
Because they learn something. You see the soft spot. There's a whole dichotomy of character.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just an extension of
those kinds of characters?
Of Ed O'Neill's characters. But you know what? Some actors play the same character again and again, and it always works.
And people love it.
And it worked for him.
Yeah.
When I kept hearing Hank speak, I just kept thinking of Al Bundy or Jay Pritchett.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah, but still, that voice worked perfectly for Hank the Septipus.
Yes.
Yes. He's not an octopus.
Right.
Because he's missing one limb.
It is. Yes, he is. So that his character was pretty fun though. Although there is a part of the movie where it's a fish out of water part, and it's a fish out of water because it's a scene that seems to belong more with Fast and the Furious than Finding Nemo or Finding Dory.
Yeah, and you can only hold your beliefs so far.
Suspend your beliefs.
Because when things happen, even in an animated movie, it's like, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
Why is no one else seeing this?
Yeah.
Oh, this is kind of going out of the realm of expectations. It's going out of the realm of belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But that being said, there is definitely heart to this movie, and there is, a particular scene that, of course, I got a little emotional. Because you always have to in Disney movies, right?
Even Ellen DeGeneres said it was very hard to do some of these scenes because they were just so emotional, and the emotion you hear are very true to life.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, we had sent Mark Gushowitz to the press conference of Finding Dory, and he got a lot of great sound bites.
Yeah, I was excited to hear some of these. The press day featured writer, co-director Andrew Stanton and producer Lindsay Collins, plus the central voice cast, including Ellen DeGeneres, of course, as Dory, Albert Brooks, who plays Marlin, Ed O'Neill, Hank, Eugene Levy was there, and he plays Dory's dad, Hayden Rollins, now he plays Nemo, and he's a different actor than the original Nemo. Caitlin Olsen plays Destiny, one of the whale shark, and Ty Burrell plays Bailey, who is the beluga whale.
And I did not know that was him until the credits
Really?
rolled. Yeah, I didn't hear.
Oh, wow.
I didn't hear him.
Wow. All right, well, after listening to this press conference, this is the main reason why I want to see Finding Dory again, because they really brought up some interesting things. So we pulled a lot of the best clips, including this one, where a member of the press asked director Andrew Stanton and producer Lindsay Collins about why it took so long for a sequel.
Made us wait 13 years for a Finding Nemo follow-up. 13 years, sir. Why now? Why 13 years later?
Well, the real truth is I just wasn't expecting to ever go back. 4 years with fish is a long time to work on a movie, and I thought Nemo was a closed little circuit, nice finished little picture, and moved on. And the brain's this interesting thing. So suddenly I was watching the movie again because I hadn't watched it in years. In 2011, we had to see the 3D version, and I walked out very worried about Dory, and I couldn't stop thinking about how she needed closure.
Yeah, I think you were, as a writer and as a filmmaker, you were like, how could I have left her incomplete?
Yeah.
So it started bugging him, and then we kept it to ourselves for a while.
Yeah.
And
knowing what we had to tackle and solve, I don't think I could have solved it earlier. I think I would have failed. It took, I honestly can say I was paired with the smartest writer, the smartest co-director, the smartest head of story, the smartest editor, the smartest producer, and we were all constantly banging our heads against the wall trying to solve this movie without giving up for 3.5 years, and it was a very recalcitrant story. It just kept giving us little inches of gain, but never the full answer. And I don't think I could have solved this movie any sooner. So I'm kind of glad it came then, you know, in that sense.
Now, being big fans of Ellen's talk show, we would always hear her campaigning for this sequel.
Wherever I go, people are always asking me about Finding Nemo, and are they going to make a Finding Nemo 2? And I didn't realize that. I guess I've mentioned it on the show once or twice. And now it's time for our new segment, How Come Every Animated Movie is Doing a Sequel Except Finding Nemo? Watch the Super Bowl, and it's fun, but it's just something I'll do once and I'll never do again. Like, what's the word for it? Oh, yeah, Finding Nemo. And every single day I say, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. I'm going to put a picture on my vision board. I hope it works better than my Finding Nemo sequel board. Finding Nemo, 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 Finding Nemo.
But as she tells it here, it was a joke that just went right.
It just seemed like it was obvious. I mean, the film was an iconic film. It won an Academy Award. It was great. I was a small part of it. I wasn't campaigning to have a sequel for Dory. I was just campaigning for a sequel to a great movie. And then when it didn't happen for the first, 5 or 6 years, I decided to just make a joke of it. It just seemed like it was never going to happen, so I would just continue to joke about it. And then the joke became a reality, and then it became about Dory's journey.
Now, one of the questions I had while watching this, I know it's been 13 years since Finding Nemo, but was this the same actor who played the original Nemo? Maybe they sped the sound up. I wasn't sure, because you know how adults can sound like kids. Just ask Ashley Eckstein.
Right, yeah, certain adults have that.
But as we see here, Hayden Rollins takes up the role of Nemo from Alex Gould, who voiced Nemo in Finding Nemo. And let's hear how he took on this momentous task of playing a clownfish.
So I just really loved the role of Nemo, and I never thought that I would be able to actually play him. But I was sort of a little bit nervous at first because he's already a character, and I was taking over this character that everybody loves, and I wanted to do Nemo justice.
And you did. And it shows. When you love a character that much, it just comes out.
Can you imagine going to school the next day having played Nemo?
Yeah, although it would be like 3 years before they actually got to see anything you did. So he would have been a whole nother school, maybe.
Yeah, his voice was a little bit deeper at the press conference than in the film. So I'm sure his friends were like, yeah, you sound a lot like Nemo. All right, Hayden, whatever you say. No, it was me.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we discussed a little earlier, Finding Dory, it just didn't have that wonder and awe of Finding Nemo for me, because in Finding Nemo, you had to cross the entire ocean with a fish, namely Marlin, who never wanted to leave his reef in the first place and who was kind of scared of everything, right? So in Finding Dory, you cross the ocean so quick and end up in this tiny, comparatively, marine life institute. And so that great wide ocean feel was a little missing for me. So here is what the director and the producer had to say about the setting.
Well, it was a circuitous route. There wasn't one big plan, which shows how lumpy our process of working a story is. I only had one location that we didn't get to put in the first movie that I really wanted to. And it was a kelp forest, because it's so unique. It's like redwood trees underwater. There's nothing else like it. And literally that was the problem. There was nothing like that on the Great Barrier Reef. So I could make Dory's past be from anywhere. So we said, well, let's at least start there. I already know that would be a cool environment. Now I can look back and realize, that actually has more meaning behind it, because I was in open water traveling, searching for Nemo all over in the first one. So it's very much more like traveling the desert. This one, it's like a forest. It's like a fairy tale. And in fairy tales, things are hidden, secrets are hidden in the forest, and things are discovered in the forest. And I realized that's why it just kept working. And that put us right by the coastline, just because of the truth of where those kelp forests are. And then once we started to look back at this, unintentional breadcrumb trail of Dory's, like, she knows how to speak English, read, and she knows how to speak whale, and she's just got this odd, eclectic, knowledge of stuff, and said, I think she has to be around humanity. I think she has to have just seen some of the most bizarre
being able
stuff.
to explain some of that, because you never had to in the first film. You just kind of took it, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, great. I mean, but now the fact that we had this opportunity to kind of, is there some explanation for why she knows and does the things she does?
In an early past, there was a moment where she was at the glass revisiting her exhibit, and everything she'd ever said had an association on the wall, like Kaiser Soze at the end of Usual Suspects. It was like, Sea Monkey has my money, like little. There was just like all these weird, like Natural Blue. There was like just all these things, and it was funny in the moment, but it was so reliant that you were like an expert on the first movie that we just didn't use it.
It's funny,
but. The more we delved into just like we knew about the Monterey Bay Aquarium, we're very authoritative on the California coast because of where we are. It all just started to work. It brought in all these new species. It brought in sort of, we could be at the ocean, but right inland with people, and it's just started to really work. And then once it found the theme of rescue, rehabilitation, and release, which really was this subtle arc of her character, it just all fit like a glove, and we just stayed there. That was the short answer.
Now, I know a lot of you are thinking right now that Finding Nemo and Finding Dory is just a ripoff of Jaws and Jaws 3.
What?
Because first you start off in a big ocean, then you get to a little water park, and I know that's what you're all thinking right now.
Oh, I see. Jaws 3, wasn't that the...
That was the 3D.
The 3D one.
Where Jaws was at the aquarium.
Funny. Okay.
Now, isn't that what you thought when you were seeing Finding Dory?
Didn't cross my mind.
That this is a nice companion piece to Jaws 3?
I didn't even think about it.
Is it just me?
It is just you.
Okay, let's move on then.
Okay, well, I do want to mention that this is one main reason why I want to see Finding Dory again, because I want to kind of think of it as more of a fairy tale rather than this great big adventure.
Now, one of the greatest things about this film for me was just the happy-go-lucky nature of Dory.
Yes.
I just love that. She's just so happy all the time, and I really love her. Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
Because to me that says whatever happens, just keep on going. Don't dwell on problems. Just keep swimming.
And Dory can't dwell on problems.
No, she can't. I don't know if that's a detriment or not. So every scene with Dory, you just can't help but be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't mind having that power of forgetfulness sometimes. You know, when those little things just bother you. It's like, why am I dwelling on this? Can I just forget it? And now I'm gonna go with the mantra we hear in Finding Dory of what would Dory do?
Yeah.
So next time I get really upset about Secret Squirrel or something stupid, you can say, Rich, what would Dory do?
What would Dory do is, I guess, a really cool motto that, she just would carry on, Dory would, there's not one speck of judgment in her or meanness or anything. And I think that's what people love so much about this character, this fish, is because she's just happy, and maybe it's because she doesn't have a memory. She just kind of like, everything is new again. Everything is exactly like, brand new. And I guess the what would Dory do is how would she handle a situation? And she would just be present. She would just be there, and she would just do what needed to be done, no matter what. So I guess that's what what would Dory do?
Well, let's hear what Andrew Stanton and the producer have to say about this mantra.
And I've never really said this before, but like, just keep swimming was a mantra that was taught to us in the first movie. And I think what I needed to do was make that personal for her. And she didn't realize it was actually something that was taught to her by her parents, and you have to combine it with what would Dory do. And when the two come together, that's really was the power of those two things together.
Now, this is something I did not think about until hearing this press conference, how this movie, Finding Dory, could help people with disabilities. Much the same way that Inside Out helps people speak about their emotions, this movie could really be that for people with disabilities. So let's hear director Andrew Stanton and producer Lindsay Collins talking about that.
I was trying to be universal with her unique specificity in a weird way. Nobody wants to watch a character be a generalization of something, so you go very specific, but you're hopefully saying something universal with it. So I was not trying to just talk about anybody with a disability. I was trying to say, I was using her disability to represent everybody. And I think the obvious category that comes first is people with an obvious handicap. But I also think it works for anybody that, because nobody, well, maybe there are people you know that think they're perfect, but nobody is. And everybody has a flaw that that may be actually mislabeled as such, and they actually, it's a little bit of a reflection of my age. Like I've hit middle age, and you just start to recognize that I'm not really going to change. I am who I am, and I got to own that, and I got to learn to start enjoying that fact. You know, the good and the bad, and I think that's what I wanted it to, so that I wanted it to not be exclusive. I wanted to talk to everybody. But I think it's wonderful that it speaks to anybody with a true disability. I think it's great.
You set it up in the first film too. I mean, I love the fact that, you know, Dory never acknowledges Nemo's little fin.
Yeah.
You know, when Destiny can't see right and she bumps into, she's like, I think you swim beautifully. I mean, she just kind of doesn't belabor those things or define anybody by their flaws. And it's such a quality that was true to her on the first film, that it felt like, of course we were going to be true to that on this film, and wouldn't that be nice if that's how she felt about herself?
Yeah, that was something I never really thought of when I saw the film too, between finding Dory and her disability and even finding Nemo with his disability of having the little fin, and the fact that Dory, she could have cared less.
Yeah.
She decided, well, I'm not going to, your disability doesn't define you.
No.
You are you. So I really like that, and I love the fact that no one makes a big deal about her forgetting things, except for Marlon every once in a while when, you know, the odds are not in his favor and every second counts and it's a race against time.
Yeah.
Well, then he gets a little upset. Well, but sure. A member of the press had asked Ellen about the difficulties of playing Dory, and it sounds like the script was the director for the emotional scenes, and I don't want to take away anything from Andrew Stanton, because I'm sure he helped as much as he could, but sometimes you just have to let the words on the page really sink into the actress's head, and it sounds like they really did for the climactic scene with Dory.
I think it's so much more than a cartoon movie, and I think we're all so proud of this. I mean, it's much more complex and layered than any of us thought it would be. It's much more complex and layered than Nemo, and Nemo was a great movie, but there's so many layers to this, and it is a very personal story for Dory, and it's a very, it is emotional, so it was very easy for me to cry. It was, you know, it was like I couldn't read the lines and pretend to sniffle and pretend to get emotional. It was emotional. It was really sad, everything that Dory was going through and feeling. And so these are all human feelings. They're all the same feelings we all have. And it does show the power of these animators, how they make it so beautiful and so realistic, and the characters they create are so complex that you do get emotionally and you do cry at a fish, and we all cried. Like it really is a beautiful story. So it was fun and challenging to get that emotion with just a voice and no other physical. You know, you can't give you a body language or anything attached to that. But I don't know. I think it's the credit to the writing as well.
And then it was asked of the panel why kids connect so much with Disney and Pixar films, which I thought was a fantastic question, one of the best questions asked. And Ty Burrell, who plays the whale Bailey, he steps up and answers this question extremely well.
I feel like one aspect is, and I think Disney's done this forever, is that, I should say Disney and Pixar, is that they're willing to go into, they go deep, no pun intended, but they're addressing stuff that I think kids have some awareness on some level, including loss. And my kids really want to talk about that stuff. They want to talk about it. They don't really want to avoid those subjects, even because it comes up. There's just no way to avoid it. And I think the way that Pixar does it, where the characters, nobody does story better than Pixar, obviously, but the characters are all well-intended. Every character, whether they may be screwing up, they're all essentially trying to do their best, which is, feels like, to me, like that's, mimicking life, that's a world that feels safe to them to kind of approach those topics. That's been my experience at home, not just with Finding Dory, but with a lot of Pixar films in particular, and old Disney films, that we get into real conversations afterwards, even at 4 and 6 years old.
Now, do you know what we're going to get in 2026?
2026, is that like 10 years after? Oh, yes, 10. Okay, so...
it's been 13 years since Finding Nemo.
Okay.
In 2003, 2016, we got Finding Dory.
Right.
So 13 years from now...
Finding Hank.
Finding Hank. He is the runaway character of this film, and I can't wait for that because he is such a fun character.
Yep.
Cantankerous as he is with all 3 hearts and 7 limbs. Now, we were at Disney's California Adventure, and someone had a Hank backpack.
Yes.
And I had no idea who it was.
There's a Hank plush. There's a Hank backpack.
There's a lot of Hank stuff.
There's a Hank mug.
And I thought, who is that? And why is there such a huge phenomenon around this octopus?
Why is there so much merchandise?
Yeah, and now we know why.
Yep.
I can see a character like this really extending past Finding Dory.
I'm going to be more famous at Pixar than that lamp.
So let's reconvene in 13 years.
Sure.
And continue our Finding series of recaps and reviews.
Okay. Well, all right. So before we end this segment, though, we really should talk about Piper.
Best short film ever in front of a Pixar film.
Oh, yeah. So like with every Pixar film, there is a Disney short that goes along with it. And I thought that this was the movie starting up because it starts with water and the beach. So if you see water and the beach, that's not Finding Dory yet, folks. That's Piper.
Now, let's give a little synopsis of this short.
Okay.
It's about a hungry baby sandpiper bird learning to overcome hydrophobia and learning from their parent about the way the food chain works.
Uh-oh.
And it's also about how children learn from other children, especially here where Piper encounters a small hermit crab who teaches her the way of the waves.
Yeah, so I thought this was adorable. Like, just the animation alone, these characters are so cute.
I pulled a quote here from director Alan Barillaro.
Barillaro?
Could be Barilaro. I don't know, but let's say Alan.
Okay.
He says, it's the kid at the playground feeling. You fall down and you feel so small, but you look and see someone even smaller than you brush themselves off and tackle something else and learn from that in your own way. It was important for me to stay in the kid world and see the world from Piper's eyes and not be from the human perspective.
Okay. You know, as someone who's small, I've never seen someone smaller than me brush themselves off. I'm just saying.
Well, I see this, working with kids. You see a child and they fall down, but they look around, they see all these little toddlers, and they're being knocked down and pushed down by the bigger kids. They get back up and start to play, so they're feeling like, well, they can do it, I can do it, which is a good feeling because having worked in a kid's gym, you see these kids fall down and parents come running over. Oh my God, someone call 911. He just fell in the ball pit. Oh no, how can I deal with this?
And the
kid starts to cry because the parent is making a big ordeal about it.
Right.
So I thought this is what this film reminded me of.
And that was a good Piper parent.
It was. It was. And it's just, wow. Just be prepared to go, oh, every 4 to 5 seconds.
Yeah, and then have a moment of reflection.
So in seeing Finding Dory, don't show up late. You don't want to miss Piper.
No. All right. Well, after hearing all of this, I definitely want to go off to the movies and see Finding Dory again. What about you?
Well, I want to see it too again. But first, you know what we got to do?
What?
Just keep swimming to the end of the show. Then we can go.
Until then.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
Skywalking through Neverland.
While the rebels and the Empire are busy blowing each other to pieces.
Thanks, Lex.
3 sibling scavengers are picking up the trash.
Woohoo! Sweet salvage.
Kordi.
Talk to no one with 8 or more eyes.
Zander.
Not call my creations, my life's work, my children, uglies.
Rowan. and their faithful droid, Roger. The Freemaker family's biggest concern is keeping their salvage business afloat.
No rim, you're out the airlock.
But all that is about to change.
We recently uncovered something of interest in the Jedi archives.
Long ago, a Jedi Master forged a sword of pure kyber crystals. This powerful lightsaber proved to be dangerous, so the Jedi smashed it and hid the crystals throughout the galaxy.
I want it. Gimme, gimme, gimme.
It's calling me.
The hunt for the kyber saber will be fraught with dangers, but the Freemakers will have a powerful ally.
My name is Nare.
Is that a laser sword? I'd like to hold it. When can I hold it?
Can the Freemakers and Nare find all the kyber crystals before the Emperor gets his hands on them and destroys the galaxy in one big blast?
Blast?
Find out in LEGO Star Wars, The Freemaker Adventures.
I have a bad feeling about this.
The Skywalking Through Neverland roving correspondent, Kai Charles, is back with us today to talk about the LEGO Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures media event held at Disney in beautiful downtown Burbank.
Hey, Kai.
Hey, how are you guys?
We are sad that we didn't get a chance to go to this event. It sounded like it was a lot of fun and really educational because I don't think we know that much about the Freemakers and their adventures.
Yeah, so thanks so much for being able to cover this for us. We really appreciate it. And you know what? Could you take us through this event, like up until the screening?
Perfect. Yeah. So the first thing, it was interesting because when you guys sent me the email, I immediately I just typed yes. I barely read it. I was like, oh, yes, it's Star Wars, it's Lego. And so I didn't know anything about the Freemaker Adventures. And so when I pulled up, I just went online and I pulled up and my first thought was like, oh my gosh, they're brown. And I thought it was a mistake because I was like, wait. Are there brown Legos? Okay. So basically, so the event was held basically when we first came in, it was check-in time and they immediately took us to a screening room. So they showed one episode and there was a little introduction by the contact person. I think Chrissy Wu is her name. Mm-hmm. And they just started right away. No preload, no.
No, hi, how you doing? Here's a snack. Here's some water.
Yeah. Nope. It was just, let's get this done. Hi. They just basically turned the lights off. Some people thought they were showing us 2 episodes, so some people wouldn't get up at the end. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the email said 1. So we went, and then we went out and went to a larger room where they did have a great lunch buffet and everything, but they were like, no lunch until after the press. And it was so some people were like, oh, okay. I had already eaten, so I was fine, but we're sitting next to all of this food and everyone's just kind of looking over there. Like, why is all
longingly
this food here? We can't eat. Because, Disney does really good spreads. Like I did a Disney event at Comic-Con a couple of years ago and they always feed you very well and drinks and everything. So it was just funny watching everyone's eyes just kind of go over to the side. And
Were there cupcakes?
No cupcakes, just like real food and snacks and M&Ms. And
no cupcakes. That's not the Disney that I know. They always have cupcakes.
Yeah. Besides a few handouts and a poster, I don't even know if they have promotional items.
No little take-home keychains of the figures?
Nothing, because I would have gotten a couple and they'd be on their way to you.
Aww.
Yeah, all right. Well, you know what? Tell us about the Freemakers, the show itself and the characters, because like I was just saying, I know nothing about this.
Yeah, the Freemakers, this is very interesting going forward for Disney. This is, it's kind of groundbreaking in a way, because if you've seen any Lego shows like the Droid Tales, there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of kind of in jokes, and it's really more heavily based on the sets themselves and what funny things they can do. But this show actually has pretty much the script and the accountability of, let's say, Rebels mixed in with Lego. So basically the creators, Bill Motz and Bob Roth, said the only guidelines they were given was that the show was to take place during the original trilogy and that the characters were to be new characters. Right. But the only guidelines Disney wanted is they wanted it set in the original trilogy so they could use Emperor, Vader, They said tons of guest stars are coming. They hinted Luke and Leia. Some of the side characters, they're real big fans of Dengar, so be on the lookout for some. Yeah, so they kind of like the quirky, crazy characters, kind of that like you don't really know their backstory, and so it's kind of like I have to watch it again to see all of the side characters. So the main story is about 3 siblings. It's their names are Rowan, who's the youngest, Kordi, who's the oldest, and Zander is a Freemaker. And they are a family of color. As the creator said, they wanted it to be obvious that the characters were multicultural without really streamlining like what race they are.
So when you say of color, what color are we talking about?
Well, basically, someone had asked that, and apparently the color for Lego is called nougat. So this color, it actually exists. Lego did not have to create a color for the Freemaker family. It is the color in the Lego palette called nougat.
Yeah, nougat. Okay.
Nougat.
Looking at the picture here, they could be Italian.
Yeah, I was really impressed with them because they're great guys. First of all, I had a little bit of a fangirl moment over them because one of the things they said.
I'm sorry.
With Bill and Bob, because they're kind of like a team and they think very much alike.
And these are the writers?
These are the executive producers, and I think they wrote the pilot, the first season.
Okay.
Bill Motz and Bob Roth?
Yes, Bob Roth and Bill Motz. And one of what Bill said is he said it was very important to him that he wanted people from around the world to be able to look at the Freemaker family and say, hey, they look like me. So that was something they decided going forward. And it's just a great part of diversity that you don't really expect that makes it really fun.
Okay. So after you saw the screening, you were led to a press room where you got to see a panel. And who was on that panel then? So I'm assuming Bill Motz.
It was really quick. So it was Bill. First, Bill and Rob came out. Then we also had Eugene Bird. He is an actor that you may know from if you're a fan of Arrow. He was so nice. I was a little fangirling over him. He was on the recent season of the last 2 seasons of Arrow, and he plays Zander, who's the older brother.
I'm Eugene Bird, and I play Zander Freemaker. Zander Freemaker is a brilliant, beautiful, great head of Lego hair. He's a gearhead, so whenever he sees a ship, he just goes crazy. He's like, oh, listen to that. Oh, look at that. There's a Y-wing.
And then there's a Canadian actress named Vanessa Lingus. That may be wrong.
I'm Vanessa Lenges, and I play Kordi. Kordi is the sister of Zander and Rowan. She's a little bit of a tomboy. She's really tough. She's really brave. She can talk herself in and out of almost anything, which is super good because her brothers get her into a lot of trouble, and she is the brains of the operation.
And then Nicholas Cantu, who the sweetest little boy. He's just a little sweetheart. He plays Rowan.
My name is Nicholas Cantu, and I play Rowan Freemaker. Rowan's this confident and curious, adventurous little 12-year-old boy with energy for everybody. His brothers and sisters always say, don't touch anything, because he's always putting himself into some sort of trouble. Dianoga! No!
Rowan is the main focus of the story. Rowan is a little about like Ezra, about 4 or 5 years younger, very caffeinated.
Oh, wow.
This like him. They even joked during the panel that that he drinks a lot of Nicholas drinks a lot of Coke, and it shows. He is like a very innocent. He's like Ezra in the sense that he's force sensitive.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, there's no. I don't think he even knows he's force sensitive in this episode. So just to back up a little, the Freemakers are firmly planted in the original galaxy. This is set between Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
And they are legalized salvage. They're a legalized salvage company. The creators hinted that they said we will never know what happened to the Freemakers' parents. He says he doesn't feel it's important. Like most Disney films, they're dead.
Both killed in a horrible accident.
Yeah, he says it's a very boring story and that it will never be told. It's not the focus. And so, of course, we all want to know because he's saying it'll never be told. But he said it's possible that the Freemaker salvage company was started by the kids' grandparents and that now they are taking over the tradition. So it's an interesting thing because they're not rebels. They're not, bounty hunters. They're not living on they're legalized, they've got a license. They're legal scalpers, salvage people. So it's basically seeing those events through the regular person's point of view.
Okay.
So when we first meet them, but there's a lot of little name droppings here. The movie first opens, the first thing we see is the Emperor and Vader. And if you've seen the Emperor and Vader in the Padawan Menaces and other Lego movies, they have that fun little interplay. So in the opening scene, the Emperor's basically giving Vader a hard time because the Death Star got blown up, the first one. And he's like, let's replay the tape. And he's basically showing the humiliating moment for Vader when Han shoots him and shoots his ship and he goes off and the rebels win. So basically, Palpatine is saying, what are you going to do to make me happy? And Vader says, I found out about this special lightsaber called the Kyber crystal. And he's like, if I'm going to get this lightsaber, you're going to be happy with me again because it's one of the most powerful lightsabers that ever existed. In fact, it was so powerful that the creator of it broke it up into 5 or 6 different pieces and scattered them across the galaxy.
So this is the Kyber saber.
The Kyber saber, right?
So this is a little bit like Harry Potter now, with the Horcruxes.
A little bit. It's very funny. So because it's the Vader Emperor bit is really funny because it's just like him, he's making fun of Vader and he's taking jokes. And when he sees the Kyber saber, he's like, ooh, get me. And so basically that's what Vader and all the stormtroopers go off and start doing. The Freemaker family literally stumbles into the middle of this quest without knowing anything about it. So when we first meet them, they are actually salvaging ships as they are being blown up. There's a big battle with the X-Wings and the TIE fighters, and actually Wedge is leading the X-Wings. So there's a lot of little cameos dropped in. And so Kordi decides, instead of waiting for the battle to be over, why don't we go while the battle's happening? Because that's when we'll get all the good stuff. Yeah. And it doesn't turn out to be a very good idea. And the funny thing is, it makes this so different from other Lego shows. As I'm watching them salvage, my brain is thinking, hey, are there bodies in there? That's got to be really gross. And then I remembered, well, this is Lego. They're not going to address that. But then when they get back to their home place, they actually live on this amazing floating space station called the Wheel. And they basically rent a garage, like a space garage. And when they show up, there's kind of like a LoJack on their house because they haven't paid rent. And so Kordi's really funny because she kind of has like Obi-Wan Kenobi's suggestion force power, but she does it with a hair flip. Like she's not force sensitive. She's just very charming. She's kind of tomboyish, so it's not like she's not using feminine wiles. She's just very persuasive. So it makes me think that maybe there's some force running through this whole family.
Wow.
But none of them are aware of it. So basically what happens is Kordi gets them a 1-day extension on the rent. It's a very powerful hair flip. And the older Freemaker brother, Zander, he's really good at building ships. So they said, we got to make a ship in a day and we got to sell it so we don't lose our space. And they have a robot butler called Roger.
What? I'm baking cookies.
Who is voiced by Matt Wood, of course. It has to be him. And he says to him, they need this one piece to make a ship to sell. And he says to the droid, what was one of the biggest Clone War battles that ever happened where I have a big chance of finding this piece of equipment we need? And they end up going to a planet called Karlak. Now, I don't know if I've never heard of that before, but I thought it was interesting that they're interweaving Clone Wars and all of these different things. Yeah. So when they go to this planet to get this part, Rowan, of course, goes off on his own and he stumbles and falls and he discovers the hilt of the Kyber crystal.
Oh, well, I don't know if we want to know too much more though.
So that's kind of what starts it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he finds the hilt of the Kyber saber?
Yes, and he also meets someone who is kind of intertwined with the quest to find it too, as well.
Okay.
Wow. Sounds like this is borrowing a little bit from Harry Potter and Rebels and even classic Marvel Star Wars comics with the whole wheel. That's where they live, right?
Yeah, it's really cool. It reminded me a little, like, sorry to cross universes, but do you ever remember in Star Trek where they used to have the floating hospitals, like the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like a little. And it's just it's really well thought out. When they were talking about, they put a lot of work into this. I mean, like the creator said that even though this is a Lego show, the stakes are real. Like there are real things that are going to happen that mean something. So it's not just all about fun and light, but there are a lot of funny jokes that run throughout the episode, but it's a serious, straightforward story. It's kind of like you have to watch the next part to see what happens.
Okay.
It's not something like, oh, this is one little 30-minute episode and I can put it away. They are telling a story and it's moving forward at a pace. In fact, they even have a character. They have a female character that's this along with Kordi. She's this woman they run into. I won't say more about her, but she's a big part of this kind of quest to going forward. And she's not what she seems. And it was a very interesting twist. I thought, man, they're doing this in a Lego show. Like it goes to a place that you really don't expect.
Wow, sounds very complex and involved. Now, what you saw, that was the first episode, like a TV movie. Will it be longer than 30 minutes?
It seemed like it's about 30 minutes. What they're doing is it starts Monday, June 20th, and the first 4 episodes are going to be shown 4 days in a row. Oh. It's Monday at 10 a.m. So they're really aiming for kids. It's summertime. It's definitely something you need to DVR unless you have weekdays free.
The heck with the kids. I want to see this now.
Yeah. So basically Monday to that week of the 20th, there's going to be an episode Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Those are the first 4. They weren't really clear how many episodes they are. So it's possible it just may be ongoing for the summer, but there was no distinctly saying that this is a 12-issue show or this is a 24-issue episode show. They just basically shared that the first 4 episodes will air that week and that the regular time is Monday, 10 a.m.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I like the fact that the whole premise is based on putting pieces together to make something. I mean, that's what Lego is.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes a lot of sense to use that, and yet they've upped the stakes on that. So
yeah, and you'll love this, Sarah. They were talking about, because someone noticed the music is very distinct in this show, and it catches you right away, like you can tell. And so basically, they have access to John Williams' score, which they've used, but they also created a new score. And they used an 83-piece orchestra to record for the show.
Really? Wow. They must have a budget.
Nice.
And
do you know who the composer is?
He's Michael, I think Claver is Claver or Kramer. I was writing really fast, but apparently they went out of country to film it with this 83-piece live orchestra. And he said, if you pay attention, each piece of this saber has a different tonal quality. So as the episodes go on and you get more of these pieces together, it's actually going to it's going to make the score flow differently. And so I noticed that a little. I was noticing musical tenses, but if you really pay attention, it's basically you're going to take a journey through the sound as the pieces of the saber are put together.
Wow, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear like the full piece put together when they finally put that saber together.
And in the first couple of minutes, like they explain the reason why I mentioned it, because it's not like a huge spoiler because they show that in the preview and like within the first 2 minutes, they're telling you the history of the saber and everything. The biggest twist is the one I won't talk about at the end.
Ooh,
but and I won't even tell you the name of this character, but it's a wonderful character to see. And I loved how there's mentions of Clone Wars. It feels very rooted between Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Is the mystery character Dengar?
No, it's not Dengar.
Is the mystery character Jackson?
As far as I know, this character might be new. They have a facial design that looks familiar to me, but this might be a new character. But I just loved that it was female. And it's also fun how when you see Rowan, how they portray Rowan's connection with the Force is really funny, because it reminded me a little of Rey, because it's not so much that Rowan even knows anything about the Force, or it's basically he's on this planet and he is just he's dragged to this area. It's like, it's funny what they do with his eyes, because he's a little Lego piece, but they find a way to make him very expressive, where it's basically he is drawn to this place, and this is where he meets his character. And the first thing she says is, "What are you doing here? How did you find this?" Because she's curious of like, who is this boy? What is he? And I don't think Rowan even knows what's going on with him. It'd be interesting to see if this time period, do the average person know about the Jedi and the Force, or is it still in that mythic territory that the Freemakers may not even know anything about the Force?
Right.
So it would be interesting to see, but he's in all the advertising things, it's very clear that Rowan is a Force sensitive boy.
I'm very curious as to why they're doing this in Lego style instead of just classic animation style. Maybe this could be a follow-up to Rebels.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like I think it's just a combination. I think it's about the toys, and it's about this partnership with Lego, because like both the executive producers said, basically they were just told new characters, Lego. So it's kind of like, for whatever reason, Disney wants to keep building this Lego Star Wars connection.
This is a cash cow here.
Yeah, I mean, Droid Tales, I enjoyed it, but it was like, I couldn't tell you anything about any of the episodes.
Yeah.
But since I saw this Freemaker, I'm just like, it's still turning around in my head. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, what are they going to do? And I still remember really funny bits, and it's wonderful how because when it's Lego, you have to have some humor. I mean, it's little Star Wars things walking around. And so the places that they find the humor, it's just perfect.
Now, did you say at the beginning of this that you weren't familiar with this series before you went today?
No, I wasn't. Because when Sarah sent me the email, I decided to just do some research, and that's when I saw the trailer, and that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this family is racially diverse. And so I got really excited. But other than that, when I searched Twitter, I found, the actors are tweeting about it. The first trailer is out, and pretty much that's why I mentioned the Saber, because the trailer you can find online, it shows you. It tells you exactly what's going on. But this kind of skipped my attention. I don't know how I missed it. So I'm sure as time, I don't feel like it's hugely secretive. Everyone there, the three main actors were there, and the two executive producers, they are ecstatic to finally be talking about it. I mean, they've had a gag order for a year.
Wow.
So they were just like, oh, what do you want to know? Like they were very happy to finally be able to share it. And they're all, the three of them definitely, they seem like they have a family vibe already. And the little boy, Nicholas, so he just blew everyone out of the water at the press conference. And apparently the creator says he has some really intensive scenes and character growth coming up. Apparently there's a scene they were talking about that Rowan filmed, and basically it brought the creators to tears.
Wow.
So there's, and I thought, what can bring someone to tears in it? So basically it's the Lego part of it. It's great, but this is real kind of storytelling like we're used to in Rebels. And like they said, there has consequences. So this journey is going to change them as a family. And really, I thought it was interesting too, because they say in the paperwork that Rowan is also the moral beacon of the family, which I thought that was a very interesting type of word to put for such a young boy. Because for Kordi, her whole pressure is she feels, as the creator said, she feels the pressure of keeping the business, the family business going. Like she feels the weight of, this is a family business. I have to keep our name going and keep my brothers safe. Like she feels that. Xander,
she's the matriarch.
Yeah, she's the older sister. Xander's kind of funny because he reminds me of like a little like, it's like Han Solo, who's really good at making stuff. He has a quirky kind of, he's a little slow on the uptake, but he's got a huge heart. He's probably someone that you could swindle very easily, but machinery is his thing. He can build, and he builds the famous thing that people were talking about called the Z-Wing. That's his baby.
Ooh, the Z-Wing. Boy, they're really pulling from all parts of the Star Wars universe for this.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing because he said basically they've had talks with the canon people, and they basically say to them yes or no, because of course someone asked a canon question, and their response was it's deeply rooted in the canon of the films. Like they have to run all of these scripts past the story.
Story group.
Yeah,
Story group.
That's interesting, since the other Lego shows had nothing to do with canon. They were just,
Exactly.
it was like the Wild West of the Star Wars universe. You guys can do whatever you want. Here you go. But this sounds like they're really keeping a close eye on it and want to make sure that nothing is going to cross over and conflict with something else. Huh.
Right. And
so they got high hopes for this.
Yeah, his quote is that it plays in the continuity of the movies, but is a universe of its own. So they're playing in the continuity between Empire and Return of the Jedi. And there's accountability on the part of the story group with them. And it's funny because they say they tell the story group, be extra like cloak and dagger with us, because as Star Wars fans, they're like, not only don't tell us that we can't do something, like don't tell us less than what you would normally tell us, is what they ask of the story group. So they really don't want to have anything that's coming from Star Wars in the movies or other animated projects. They don't want to have anything spoiled. So they tell the story group to be extra kind of cloak and dagger with them, so that nothing detracts from that. But yeah, this isn't a normal Lego show.
No, yeah.
So your overall feeling from this, you get, like, would you be a subscriber to this series?
Yes, I'm definitely gonna already put it on. I'm gonna put it on my DVR. I'm just really excited to see where it goes, and it's definitely one of those shows you have to watch a couple of times, because it's like I want to watch it for the story, and then I want to watch it for the in jokes. Because like the thing I said about, well, what about bodies in those spaceships? They address that in a hilarious way, and it runs throughout the whole episode. So it's just funny, because sometimes when you watch Lego, you're like, okay, I have to put on my kid hat. I have to not, this is like, sure, of course. And the droid tales,
Well, those past
Admiral
shows
Akbar.
were written by the Simpsons writers, and those guys don't mess around with comedy. There's
Right.
in-jokes
And
coming fast and furiously.
Exactly. And this one has some good ones, but it's like the story is so important to you. It's kind of like, oh, I want to see where they're going. And like, oh yeah, this is funny. And, Rowan has a habit of doing a little bit of accidents that end up being good in a way. Like it's almost in a way kind of like a young drunken master kind of thing. Like if he wouldn't have fallen and blown up the ship, they wouldn't have gone to this planet to get apart, and then he wouldn't have found the saber. So he has a way of doing these accidents that
Almost sounds like Jar Jar Binks.
No, I
Finding
know.
Dory.
Yes, maybe. I was like, the story of have you heard in martial arts about the drunken master theory, about the person that looks like they have no power and is an idiot actually is the most powerful person of all?
No, but I've seen The Phantom Menace, so I know all about the Jar Jar Binks story and how he crushed those battle droids.
Yeah. Well, Rowan is just like a really sweet, precocious version of that, where you can just it becomes clear as you see the episode. It's like, hey, if he wouldn't have accidentally blew up this thing, they would have sold it and then had rent, and they would have never gone to that planet. They would have never started this adventure. So it's almost, I always think of the Force as being having a way of moving people like chess pieces. Like I always believe in the Star Wars universe, there's always free will, but I think sometimes the Force kind of moves people around. like if you go here, then you're gonna it's kind of a light side thing.
Oh, those midichlorians never sleep. They're always at work.
So it's kind of like that's what it feels like. It's very much. But I love the fact I want to learn because it's really interesting because they are. I love the fact that they're like legal, so to speak, because in the Star Wars universe, we know about rebels and things. And these are just everyday Imperial citizens who, as of yet, haven't crossed the Empire and have just been going about their life, living legally.
Yeah.
And now they're on this adventure that's going to really shake things up for them. And and they just name drop like Han, Leia. Those were the first two that they said, you will definitely, not Han, Luke and Leia. They said, you will definitely see Luke and Leia.
Oh,
and
fun.
a lot more. So I thought that was interesting because someone had said, well, what about the big seven? And he said, well, you will definitely see Luke and Leia and lots of cameos. Like for some reason that's the people who wanted this, they want Vader in it. They want the Emperor in it. They want the main cast members to be in this.
Well, I think it's like touchstones, basically. You want your audience to be drawn in, kind of like what they did with Star Wars Rebels by announcing, oh, Lando's going to be in this episode and stuff. But, well, before we wrap up, Kai, can you tell people where they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, because at this point, I don't want to hear anymore.
I know, right?
I just want to go and see this.
I know, it's so good. You only have to wait a week.
You whet our appetite.
Yes. I'm mostly on Twitter. You can find me at Yogi Kai. And I also have a blog for books and pop culture that's Fiction State of Mind. And that's at blogspot.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this for us. We really appreciate it. And we can't wait to watch the Freemaker Adventures.
Now,
thank you.
Can you sign out by giving us a tagline for the Freemaker Adventures? Like, is there a May the Force be with you or to infinity and beyond?
I don't know if they have one. I'm trying to remember.
Make one up.
I would just say, be careful with the cookies. And you'll have to watch it to see what I mean.
Okay. I like it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
And be careful with
Kai.
your cookies. Always.
This is what happens when you mess with the Freemakers! Oops.
I can buff that out.
Lego Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures will debut June 20th on Disney XD, so set those DVRs.
And now, the shout-outs.
Shout-outs. Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who has tweeted out? Shout-out. Who has photobombed? Shout-out. Who has shared a post? Shout-out.
Ryan Stamfley, he is at the Arrowbreaker on Twitter. He tweeted last week, listening to episode 123, and of course Woolworths is still around. Hashtag Neverland on Alderaan, hashtag podcast, hashtag happy. And he tweeted this with a picture of him in the very early morning with a Woolworths sign in the background. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It's a very updated Woolworth sign, too.
It was. Well, he must have been listening to the show and heard us talk about Woolworths, and he happened to be like right outside the Woolworths, so I thought that was cool.
Just tuning in, last week we had mentioned Woolworths in passing, and we both thought, does Woolworths still exist?
I guess it exists in Australia, because that's where Ryan is from. So
I haven't seen one of those stores since 1979.
I know. For me, I never grew up with a Woolworths. It only happened to be in Wisconsin whenever I'd visit. So the Woolworths was never in Austin, Texas.
Woolworths was kind of like, depending on what kind of place you're living in, what city, it's like a 99-cent store, but I would say a Big Lots.
Wasn't there a Woolworths in Chicago when we went to eat there?
I got no idea.
Okay, I don't know.
But it was
All
like a value pick and save kind of place.
What? Really?
And they back in my day, they always smelled very musty.
Oh.
But every once in a while, you'd go into the Woolworths in Waltham, Mass, and you'd find like the Star Wars items that just got forgotten on a shelf.
Okay.
So it was really fun to go back and pick through things, and every once in a while, you'd find something like, oh, this. I haven't seen one of these in the stores since like 3 years ago.
Huh. Michael Nip just talked about service merchandise. Weren't you talking about that?
Service merchandise. Yeah, there was one of those in. There was one in Natick, Mass, and one in Dedham, Mass. A big department store.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But let's talk about Woolworths some more.
Woolworths. It's hard to say. Woolworths.
I used to find all these Kenner action figures just buried in the shelves.
Oh,
long
wow.
after they've stopped really selling them.
My goodness.
I know. You find Topps trading cards just buried in the candy aisle.
Oh, that sounds like your kind of place.
Oh, it was. It was like going on a scavenger hunt.
You love that.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
See,
definitely. Yeah.
I love going to the internet and going, I want that. And it comes to my door. You love the scavenger
Like
hunt.
during the dark times in the early 90s, late 80s, I used to love going to stores like these and picking through things, and you never know what you're going to find.
Okay.
The stores that kind of had the second-rate merchandise, like the overstock stuff, and they always had a lot of this stuff just buried somewhere.
Okay.
It was a great scavenger hunt.
I can see how you would like that.
Loved it. I used to find a lot of Star Wars Presto Magics, and we better move on before I go way
I was gonna say.
deep undercover.
Deep inside baseball?
Deep. I'm making a Beverly Hills Cop 2 reference.
Okay.
Deep. Oh, this is the first one. Deep undercover.
Yes, I only saw it once. I'm not getting it. I'm sorry.
Into finding
But they
Star
will.
Wars merchandise.
All right.
Beverly Hills Cop is a movie that does not hold up over time.
No.
All right. Let's. Yes, we are taking a tangential
Tangent right now.
tangent right now.
Yes, we are.
All right, move on.
Okay.
Matt Clifton.
Okay, so one of the
KB
things...
Toys. Sorry. See, this is what happens. KB Toys.
Thank you, Periscope walkers. All right. So, Facebook group. We have our new Facebook group now on Facebook, obviously. Just search Skywalking Through Neverland group, and you will find it. You can request to join. And generally, if you have a picture of yourself that's kind of Disney or Star Wars related, I will, click OK. All right. So, Matt Clifton, he posted in the Facebook group, Okie dokie. After scouting the 4 main hotels that will be the main hub hotels for Cellalando, which is, of course, Celebration Orlando next year, I have come to an assessment. The Hyatt Regency. If there has to be a Heart Hotel, this will be it. Several spacious lounges and no shortage of spacious areas, perfect for podcast meetups. So, exciting. Matt Clifton on his own went and scouted like the 4 main hotels that kind of connect to the Orlando Convention Center and has concluded that we need to be doing some podcast after meetups at the Hyatt Regency.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But I also want to say that he also posted a photo of a sign that had his face and then in the background a sign that said Skywalk to the Convention Center with the caption, And that was really cool. The comments on that from us, you Skywalkers, were quite awesome.
I love the fact that Matt Clifton takes it upon himself to think ahead.
Yes.
A year ahead.
Yeah, that was really cool. So I love the comment though on this post that let's see. Oh, Michael Smith says, "How does one skywalk?" Ryan Stamfley says, "It's a sign." And then he said, "Well, literally it's a sign, but you know what I mean." Good omen. So funny.
Yeah, these are signs I used to see when going to conventions back in Boston in the 80s. And I had a friend who shall remain nameless to protect the guilty.
Okay.
And he used to take some spray paint and just put an extra ER Skywalker. Yeah. It's like, that's funny, but that's vandalism.
It
but
is.
He didn't think twice about
but
that.
But it's Skywalk. Come on.
Come on.
It's like begging for it.
I'm sure he wasn't the only one to ever have done that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, last weekend was the RFR, the Rebel Force Radio meetup and live show in Orlando, and we had some Skywalkers there representing.
Yeah.
So we wanted to say thank you. Chica Fent posted some photos of his parents sporting a Fangirls Going Rogue t-shirt and a Team Hoojib tee at the live show, so that was really cool. Jeremy Hunt posted in our Facebook group this little gem. A summary of a little convo Heather and I had at the RFR live show yesterday.
Hold on, let me do that part.
Okay.
I'm gonna play the part of Jeremy Hunt.
Okay.
I love that this corner of the room is so fun and welcoming. Feels like old friends or family.
Heather said, they're all Skywalkers.
Good point.
You're a great bunch, Skywalking Through Neverland peeps.
That ends
STN peeps. Aw, look at all the hearts.
the Hunt Family Theater.
It's true, all of it. Aww. So we loved that post. That gave us warm fuzzies.
Yes.
And if we could make the Hunt family a Skywalker week again, we would. All right.
So thank you, Hunt Family. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and I hope you guys had fun at that RFR meetup. Looked really fun. I was following all of your posts. I know Teresa was there posting a lot of photos as well. So that was really cool, and I hope you guys got to say hi to her as well.
All right. Is that it for now?
That's it for my shout-outs. However,
shout-outs.
we still have one more thing.
Yeah, we should do because there's so many shout-outs every single week that there's only so many we can do.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but you know what we can do to prolong these shout-outs? We can name the Skywalker of the Week. How's that for a good capper on the shout-outs?
I think that's a good idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's Chris. Oh, yes, it's Chris. Chris Shepard.
Well, congratulations. Very, very well deserved. Now, if you want to become the Skywalker of the Week, all you gotta do is meet us on the streets at Disneyland, at a convention, just anywhere, or tweet at us.
Tweet at us or post in our Facebook group or give us warm fuzzies. We love that. All right. So basically...
the warm fuzzies will put you right on top.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
Yeah. Basically interact with us in some way. We love that. So yeah, that's what you need to do. And as always, Rob Dellinger is the John Williams of podcasting.
Skywalker stories. Sharing those Skywalker stories with Richard and Sarah. Skywalker stories.
It's time now for Skywalker Stories.
This week we are joined by our good friend Dave Parfit of AdventuresByDaddy.com. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Rich.
Hey.
So this week on Skywalker Stories, we want to hear a good story about how you're a great dad since it is Father's Day this Sunday.
Boy, me being a good dad, I don't know about that. You probably have to ask my kids about that, but I can tell you about some trips that I've taken with my kids, especially one trip in particular.
Ooh, well, I know you go on several trips. You go on trips all the time, which is exciting because, of course, your website is all about travel blogging. So tell us about this trip.
Okay. Well, this wasn't the first trip that we ever took to Walt Disney World as a family, but it was definitely the one that made the biggest impact on me. And this is going back to September 2005. And before I get to the trip, I need to kind of set it up a little bit.
Okay.
So in January 2005, we moved from Vermont to Rochester, got a new job, and it was kind of a tough move for us. Maggie, who's our oldest daughter, she was in the middle of first grade. We moved in January, and Evie was about 4 years old. We couldn't find a house right away in the school district that we wanted to move into, so we crammed everything we could into this really small, tiny rental house. Then it took us a while to sell the house in Vermont. Finally found a house in Rochester. We were carrying 2 mortgages for a while. It was kind of fun time. Money was tight. But we finally sold the house in the summer. We sold our house in Vermont. We found a new house in Rochester. We were settled in our area, and we decided to celebrate. And we figured, okay, what better way to celebrate than we'll take the girls on a long weekend trip to Disney World. So at this time, they were about 8 and 5 years old at the time. So I was really kind of a Disney newbie. This is about 10, 11 years ago. And I'd been to Walt Disney World maybe once or twice before, once with the family and before that when I was a kid, and had to plan. So I scoured the internet forums and I was looking up everything, all the information I could find. I was reading up. I had planned out, where we would stay, what parks we would go to, where we would eat, had our dining reservations and everything. And some might say, my wife Dana, she might say I overplanned a bit.
Are you a
Nothing
planner?
wrong with that.
I'm a
Nothing wrong with
planner. Yeah, I'm a planner. That's for sure. And so when we walked into the parks, I had the girls laden down. They had lanyards full of pins to trade. They had fanny packs that contained their water bottles. We had handheld fans stuffed in there. There were coins for the penny press machines. They had autograph books, pens. They even carried around this little stuffed Mickey doll that they had. At that time, in 2005, they had this doll called My Pal Mickey. And it was an interactive doll. And
like Teddy Ruxpin?
It was kind of like Teddy Ruxpin. So when you were at various different places at the park, he would tell you like what's going on. It's like, hey, the line for Haunted Mansion is 10 minutes. Let's go ride.
That's cool.
It was really cool. He had a little sensor in his nose, and there was like wireless feeds that would like go to his nose, and like he would tell you different things in different parts of the park.
Wow,
I think it was.
This is a high-tech Mickey here.
It really was. It was part of like the 50th anniversary celebration of Disneyland, and they kind of rolled that out through all the parks. It was a very cool thing, and too bad they didn't continue to update it and keep it, because we had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
Mickey's got an app on his nose.
That's right. But everything, and all that stuff my kids were carrying, that kind of might have been a function of my over planning.
As long as they didn't have a recording device, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted the kids to experience it all, because I didn't know when we'd be coming back. And who kind of ended up carrying everything, after 10 minutes in the park? That would be me.
Yep. You're the dad.
Exactly. So I was Sherpa.
You're the pack mule. Yep.
But anyhow, so that trip in 2005, that was when I really got to see kind of how magical Disney was to the kids. Maggie was in love with Ariel, the Little Mermaid, and she just had the hugest smile on her face when she finally got to meet her and get her picture taken with Ariel in the grotto. You thought her face would split open. She was smiling so much. And Evie has been a Winnie the Pooh fan since she was born, and we're not even really sure where she got it from. And we had breakfast arranged at the Crystal Palace in the Magic Kingdom, and she got to meet Pooh. And while we were waiting for Pooh to come to the table, Evie was sitting there at the table, and her arms were flapping at her sides. And we're like, oh, wow, she's so excited. Look, she like can't sit still. She's that excited. And we go, Evie, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm a honeybee. I'm one of Pooh's honeybees, like flying around like the honey pot. But it was that trip that really kind of hooked me into Disney. So I liked Disney before. I enjoyed the movies, the TV shows, the cartoons. I'd been at the park when I was a kid. My parents had taken us to Disneyland in 1980. And when I was a sophomore in high school, we went on a high school band trip. We marched through Epcot. But going as a dad and seeing how excited my girls were to meet the characters, to ride the rides, that's what made me really want to go back. I always wanted to see my kids happy. I wanted to see them as happy as they were on that first trip that they could remember back in 2005. So that was 11 years ago. Maggie at the time, she would have been going into second grade. Evie, she was still in daycare at the time. And now next week, Evie's finishing up 9th grade, her first year of high school, and Maggie's graduating from high school, and they still haven't outgrown Disney. And in fact, Maggie's asked to go to Walt Disney World for her last high school spring break. Ooh. So it was that trip in 2005 that really kind of got me excited about not only Disney, but about traveling with the family, traveling with the kids, experiencing that excitement through their eyes, and kind of got me on the travel writing and kind of fueled all our adventures that we take today.
Wow.
Wow, that is fantastic. I could almost visualize everything that you were talking about.
Especially your Sherpa moment.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And your daughter running around with her little arms flapping like a honeybee.
Yeah. And we still laugh about that. It's funny how, those things stick with us. We're like, oh, Dad, you remember when you loaded us down with all those fanny packs and everything? And, you had everything so planned out and, we have to be here for this and here for that. So it's a big memory for the entire family. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I know you've been doing lots of traveling lately. You've even been on Disney cruises with your kids and your family, courtesy of Disney. So that's really exciting that it all kind of snowballed from there.
We've been able, from that one first trip, 11 years ago, it has snowballed from there. Last year, we were able to go on Disney's first cruise to Norway. We got to meet Anna and Elsa in Norway, the first time those characters ever appeared in the country. Maggie and I got to do an Adventures by Disney New York City long weekend last summer. We actually got to do a Broadway workshop taught by some of the performers from Aladdin on Broadway. They taught us the opening number of the show that we stumbled our way through. So we've been able to go on some pretty cool adventures all together, which has been great.
And if anyone wants to read about your adventures, where do they go?
They can find me on adventuresbydaddy.com, and on Twitter, I'm at adventuresbydad. Facebook and Instagram, I'm adventuresbydaddy.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right, Dave. Well, thank you very much for sharing a great story in honor of Father's Day.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad to come on and share my Skywalker story.
Hi, this is Jed Shepherd.
And this is Martin Keeler.
And we're here to tell you about our mysterious event, #Cantina.
And we are secretly skywalking through Neverland.
Skywalking to Celebration in Europe. Star Wars Celebration. Let's celebrate.
On episode 122 of Skywalking Through Neverland, we talked with Mark Daniel about Star Wars Celebration Europe. Mark had mentioned something going on the night of Thursday, July 14th, called #Cantina, and it all seemed very mysterious.
Well, we had to know more, so here with us today are event organizers Martin Keeler and Jed Shepherd.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello from the UK.
Oh, wow. We love our English accents on this show.
Yeah, although yours sound more like you're from Rhode Island.
For real? Okay, right. Well, actually, I found out that the Americans actually have the proper British accent. It's the current British people here who have the wrong accent. Because apparently we all used to speak like Americans up until like the 1800s or something. Something like that.
Really?
Apparently, yeah.
That's
apparently.
not what...
And now, let's shout out with some shout-outs. If movies have taught me anything, it's that British people are always bad. Is that correct?
That is true. We are all at the school of Alan Rickman, and we're just the bad guys.
Yeah,
the evil villains.
Yeah.
We have lessons at school in the evil laugh.
I knew it! I knew it!
Give us your best evil laughs.
I guess Alec Guinness had defected from all that since he's British, but he was a good guy.
Well, okay, so British people are either the evil villain or they're the wise wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. That is very true.
But, speaking of wise wizards and bad guys, let's talk all about #Cantina. Because like we were saying earlier, Mark Daniel had dropped a few hints, but he didn't want to say too much. So that's why we have you guys on to tell us all about this fan-run party /rave/hive of scum and villainy.
Exactly. Well, Martin, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So we'll sort of say where we came from on this. So I went to Anaheim. I didn't bump into you guys, but I was looking out for you. And your guide was invaluable. I just want to get that in there straight away. I had my Tupperware, I had my Wookiee bag, I had my mints. Okay.
Wow.
We're glad to be of service.
Absolutely.
As long as you didn't have a backpack and you had breath mints, we're all good.
I stare at people with backpacks now and say, listen to the podcast.
We need to send you a button for that.
So I went across, and it was actually my third celebration, but I'd been to the 2 Europe ones previous. And I came back, and the thing that we always say is it's the people that make celebration, the expo is brilliant, but it's the friends you make, it's the community, it's all the things in there. And I'm lucky enough to have been in contact with some people that Jed knows, and we'd met each other at places about a certain different area in life, which was music related. So I met Jed with the band that we can't mention, but we'll get into that in a minute, and said, hey, I've just got back from Celebration, and it would be really great if we could do something for Celebration in London, because it had just been announced. And
the band said, speak to Jed, because I've done similar things before. I've put on gigs for bands, specifically the headline band. I put on a massive gig for them a couple of years back, and this is almost like a spin-off from that, but this is a lot bigger. Well, not too much bigger, but it's more interesting because there's obviously the Star Wars element too. So what we decided to do is have a gig for the Star Wars fans who make the franchise, really, because we want them to have something to do the night before Celebration, because Celebration was obviously great, and I'm looking forward to going, but you want something to do the night before, because everyone's getting into London either the night before or a couple of days before, and it's one more way of hanging out with your Star Wars mates before the convention. So we wanted to make it special, we wanted to make it interesting, something that people will talk about for years to come, hopefully. So, so you know what we've got. We've got Darth Elvis playing, and Darth Elvis is obviously a Star Wars fan favourite in certain circles, and absolutely great. And this is going to be their first London gig. We've got Blues Harvest as well, which is another Star Wars-based band with Mark Daniels.
So that's the other thing. We've got DJ Elliot providing the music between the bands, and Mark Daniel hosting the event. To make sure that we have some little segues before the bands come on, and if we've got some people who are maybe there from the Star Wars universe, we've maybe have a little chat with them before a band comes on.
We've got quite a lot of people from the Star Wars universe, in fact. I know Celebration haven't announced too many names just yet, and we also can't really, but we have got a lot of people, and it's great. I mean, some of those people have been tweeting about it, so you may have seen certain people saying they go into Cantina and they can't wait.
Like who?
So the one we can say. So we've got lots of people who are actually in Maz's castle.
Oh,
I'm gonna say Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis has not confirmed. He is aware of the concert though, and he is very supportive.
Then I'm gonna say Harrison Ford.
Well, obviously,
you got it in one. It's Harrison Ford.
No. So, for example, we've got lots of people who are playing the aliens in there. But the one that's really interesting, that's tweeted quite early on, is: do you watch Game of Thrones at all?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so do you know Miltos? There's an actor called Miltos who plays, and looking at Jedi, I'm trying to think of his name in Game of Thrones. The sword.
He plays. Sorry, what's his name?
He's the guy who trained Arya.
Yeah.
Siri, what's the guy who trained Arya?
We've got about 14 people coming. Oh. They're not the big names, because we won't know nearer the time whether the big names will, and all that sort of thing, and we certainly won't be able to advertise if they are there. But the 14 guys that we've got going are, we've got Lee and Oliver, who made R2-D2 in The Force Awakens.
Oh, nice.
We've got quite a few of Maz's castle who are, effectively background characters.
They all have their names.
And they're all recognised. They're not sort of extras. So basically, but it's a weird situation. We're not allowed to say publicly who they are.
Yeah.
Because no one's been announced for Celebration yet.
Can you tell us who has been tweeting out that they're going?
The three people that have so far is Miltos, who very excitedly tweeted straight away.
Yeah. So he plays Syrio Forel on Game of Thrones.
So the other guys that have gone is a guy called Sandeep, who was one of the stormtroopers in the Force Awakens. But he was one of the guys, when they did the Comic-Con footage, and you had the stormtrooper who said, "I can die happy now," because he's been in the film. He's one of those guys. And a bit of a legend here in the UK, a lady called Pam Rose, who was in the original Cantina. Yeah, so she's tweeted to say she's coming along as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
We can tell them. Maz?
Yeah, well, if this doesn't go out, we've also got the body double for Maz.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
Artie Shah.
Artie Shah, yeah.
Well, it's very fitting that you have Pam Rose, who was in the original Cantina.
That's what we're doing. We're filling it with people who was in the original Cantina and in Maz's. So like and this won't just be like a normal convention thing, because these people will be walking around having drinks with people. So you'll be able to actually have a drink, a Star Wars based drink, with people who are in the original Cantina.
Wow.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mark Daniel will be doing his crazy antics up on stage in between acts, in between bands.
Absolutely. So they very kindly contacted us, and I've missed out one of the most important things. So when we found out that the bands were available, I contacted Mary Franklin and said, "Is this something you would be keen for us to do?" To be honest, expecting her to say thanks, but we've got everything's covered. Thank you very much. And within 10 minutes, I got an email back saying she loves the headline band. She loves the idea of what we're doing. Please let me know what I can do to help you with this.
Yeah.
So Mary Franklin left Lucasfilm, and now she's working with Reed Pop, right?
That's right, yep.
The company who's putting on the Celebration conventions.
Absolutely. She's in charge of all the celebrations.
All right, good deal.
She's been really, really helpful, making sure what we do doesn't cross the line with Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
Lucasfilm know what we're doing, and they've approved everything we're doing as well. But it's not an official event. I have to keep saying that.
Yeah. But they have signed off.
They've signed off everything we've said to make sure that we're not infringing. But yeah, they're very supportive. So as soon as Mary Franklin was on board, I think about a week later we got contacted by Mark and Elliot.
Yeah.
He just said, we've been told about what you're doing. We'd love to be able to help. And we just said, well, that's great, because we were going to ask you if you would help.
Wow.
So that's what. And we've also got David Collins coming along as well. He's going to be joining Blues Harvest on stage to play.
Wow.
That's exciting. So I want to say, is this at the O2?
Yeah, so the O2 Arena, I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's obviously the main arena, and then the inside there's a couple of other venues which are smaller, so the capacity is 1,000.
Okay.
Wow.
And yeah, and we've obviously got...
Announced as the Brooklyn Bowl.
It's called the Brooklyn Bowl in the O2. And it's the most amazing venue, specifically for this, because we're going to have... It's not just like a normal gig venue. There's like a restaurant part. There's obviously the bar. There's the stage, but there's also a bowling alley alongside the side of the stage. And we're gonna have each of the bowling balls customized in the Star Wars style. And fingers crossed, if it works, when you get a strike, there'll be an image of the Death Star blowing up. And you can also get a good view of the stage as well. So it's going to be incredible. And we haven't mentioned the 501st yet, have we?
No, the 501st are definitely attending. So you're going to have various costumed characters coming around, making sure everyone behaves.
Yeah.
And we've specifically said you mustn't do the same security training as the guys at Disneyland.
Oh, there'll be stormtroopers and secret squirrels everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Sarah, let's go to Disneyland today and tell Secret Squirrel, hey, we got a gig for you over in London on July 14th.
Wow.
Well, I guess also the main thing is it's the main band, the secret headline band, which is a band that is well known by a lot of Star Wars fans. They've sold approximately 9 million albums. They've headlined every festival you can think of. One of their albums relates to Star Wars in a way. I don't know how much I can give away, but they're a big band and they've sold a hell of a lot of records. And they're massive Star Wars fans. That's the big thing. When they first started, all the interviews were about them being massive Star Wars fans. And they are looking forward to it very, very, very much. I'm getting excited emails from from the band members. And yeah, we've got a lot of surprises.
So this band is huge, but they can't go by their real name. They've got to use the Blue Harvest name.
The Luther Ingo Star Cruiser.
Yeah, so we're calling them Luther Ingo Star Cruiser. And Luther Ingo Star Cruiser is the name that they used, a fake name they used when they first came to London to play a secret gig, to kind of practice. So all these years later, they're using it again for a Star Wars gig. But we will be able to reveal the band at some point. Maybe give us a few weeks, and then we'll reveal. But we want to kind of fill the venue with Star Wars fans before we fill it with fans of that band, because we want Star Wars fans to get a chance to get the tickets. The other thing is we made really sure that these tickets were at a price range which is available to everyone. So a lot of people told us we could charge a lot for what we're doing here. But we wanted to make it 1977. So we stuck it, so the price is 1977, not only as a nod to Star Wars, but as a nod to the headline band who are playing also. So it's all fitted in really well. And if you're going to Celebration, you really need to go to this gig, because it's going to be all kinds of wonderful.
Oh, wow. So we want to clarify, that's 1977 pounds?
Pounds, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
£19. It's not £1,997. That'd be a little steep.
19 pound.
And there is, of course, a booking fee, because every ticket agent has a booking fee. But the actual ticket is £19.77.
Okay.
And I think the thing that Jed said, which is like really important, because I like I say, listening to the podcast and that, in some ways we're doing this the hard way, and we're doing it the hard way because it's a fan-run event. If we announced it as this headliners, then it'd be great. It would sell out. No problems, everything done straight away. It'd have nothing to do with Star Wars fans, because it would be all the fans of this band.
Let me venture a guess. Is the secret band Flock of Seagulls?
Oh, well, I'd love to confirm, but I can't say.
They're supporting, but no, it's not Flock of Seagulls.
Will it be Duran Duran?
No. Actually, I did go to see them at the O2 last year, though.
Yeah, and we saw them over here at the Hollywood Bowl. Is David Collins, is he going to be playing with that band or the other band known as Blue Harvest?
He's going to be playing with Blues Harvest.
He's playing with Blues Harvest. Blues Harvest and Darth Elvis are the support band to the main band.
Blues Harvest, I love that name.
Yeah,
it's great. And wait till you see them as well. You can see their videos on YouTube.
They posted the other day. It's worth looking them up on YouTube. They were practicing Jabba Flow.
Ooh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. How fun. No, just from what I'm hearing now, this is really piquing my interest. And if we were over there, I think we'd definitely buy tickets.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because just to be kind of in a cantina environment, like I like the fact that it's not just seating. You're actually, will you be like kind of at dining table, like little tables, nightclub tables?
So it's all standing.
It's all standing, but there are some seats there. But we might have them taken away because there's 1,000 people there. We don't want them kind of bumping into tables.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's a proper gig. It's like that's the bit that we probably need to get across.
Yeah. Well, so was the original Cantina. That
Absolutely.
was, I guess.
Some people. It's a proper music night out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, are you expecting a lot of bar brawls then? People losing limbs?
Very, very possibly. Yeah.
Because if you want, we can arrange that.
Yeah, we got the chicken wire up just ready for that.
Well, the 501st will be going around hassling people for ID and stuff like that. So you never know what might happen.
It does sound a lot like Secret Squirrel over at Disneyland. Some unnecessary roughness in there.
Oh, one of the other major things I need to mention is people may think, who are these guys? Who are they? Why are they trying to make money off Star Wars fans? This is a gig for charity. So all profits are going to the Alzheimer's Society, who will be there with their buckets collecting for a great charity. So, myself and Martin, we're not making anything from this. Everything's going to the Alzheimer's Society.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's even more reason to come along. So.
And it's one of the reasons why it's happening, because you can imagine, again, it's the great Star Wars community.
Absolutely.
All those Skywalkers out there who are going to Celebration Europe, you've got to get on this. Not just for a great time, but to help out such a worthy cause. So if people did want to get tickets, where would they go?
They go to www.thisiscantina.com. And you go there, and there's two links. There's one to Eventbrite, and there's one to Axis. If you go to the Eventbrite link, you may be able to find some secret merch. If Star Wars fans are into secret merch, I'm not 100% sure if they are. But it's very limited edition stuff that you can only get online up until the gig, basically. And if you miss out, then you miss out on the very first one of these. So it's worth buying your ticket through that Eventbrite link, and there's not very many left, so be quick. Again, that's thisiscantina.com.
Okay, and can people who are not buying tickets also access that merchandise, or only?
Unfortunately, no. It's just for people who are going.
Okay.
We may, at some stage, to maybe raise a little bit more money for Alzheimer's further down the road, we may release another version of it. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Definitely, the stuff that you're pre-ordering is only going to be available for pick up on the night. And it will never be made again.
So you can't buy it and pretend you're going, because you have to be there to pick it up.
Wow. So this sounds very underground, very secret mystery. Is there anything else you have to share with us before we go?
Just if you are going to Celebration, it's kind of essential that you go to this. Otherwise, you will really feel that you've missed out. And if it does go well, then who knows? Maybe you'll see us in Florida next year.
Oh, yeah. You got to come to Florida next year. It's Celebration conventions are very addicting.
Well, Cantina 2 has a ring to it, so you never know. See how this one goes first.
I've got a confession to make.
Okay.
As the Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So we weren't planning on going to Florida next year because I've got a family, I've got a wife and 2 kids. It's quite expensive. I may have bought a 4-day pass just in case.
You're a smart man.
Because I'd hate to go and not get in.
Yeah. Like I was just saying, that Celebration conventions are very addicting. Once you go to one, it's all over. Got to go to every one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, if the Skywalkers out there want to get in touch with you and ask you anything that we had missed, how can they go ahead and do that?
I think the best way, because obviously you've got your Facebook page, which I'm on.
Which is?
It's the Skywalking Through Neverland page.
The group, right? The group?
So, the group, yeah.
Okay.
If anyone's any questions on there, I'll check in quite regularly. I'm happy to answer any questions there.
Or there's a Cantina Facebook as well.
Yeah, we do have an events page, which I'm happy to send the link to.
Yeah, or you can, on Twitter, it's @thisiscantina. Or our personal ones, we're happy to answer that too. I'm @Jed Shepherd, JEDSHEPHERD.
And I'm Martin Keeler, I think 1973, but I never look at my own thing, so I'll tweet that to you so you can see what
So if any Skywalkers out there have any questions about Cantina, how to get there, what time does it close, is there going to be any blue milk left over? Yes, just come. There'll be loads of blue milk. There'll be lots of stuff to do, and it will be probably the greatest night of your life, or maybe second if you've already had a kid. But we promise you, for the price less than 20 quid, you're going to get an amazing Star Wars related night.
Wow, that sounds incredible, and we can't wait until we hear the stories the morning after.
Yeah, and we're quite jealous we can't go.
It's a real shame. Well, hopefully there'll be videos, and we're in talks with a certain radio station to broadcast some of it. So
Trisha's going, isn't she?
I don't know. She didn't buy her ticket yet because it was so shrouded in secrecy. She didn't know.
After hearing this,
yes.
Hopefully all the questions will be answered.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, thank you once again for sharing everything you can about this hive of scum and villainy.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to hear about the stories from the day after, not the morning after, because people will still be hungover and asleep.
I'm not going to let Mark forget he promised to Periscope the beginning for you.
Oh, good.
Right.
Oh, and finally that 8 hours will be working for us, not against us.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. And yeah, we look forward to everything that Cantina has to offer.
Thanks very much. It was great speaking to you two.
That's great. Thank you.
That wraps up episode 124 of
Skywalking Through Neverland. We would like to thank Kai Charles,
Martin Keeler and Jed Shepherd,
Dave Parfit, and Rob Dellinger for not just writing jingles for this show, but we asked him to write a very special happy birthday jingle to Steven Sansweet, who just celebrated a birthday yesterday, June 14th.
Ooh.
Now, did you guys hear it? If not, here it is.
He was a $2,000 Jeopardy question. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records. Happy birthday, Mr. Rancho Obi-Wan, Steve Sansweet.
Skywalker meetups.
We want to meet up with our family of Skywalkers, so hopefully you'll be at some of these upcoming events. Now, August 5th through 7th of this year, it's Friends of the Magic weekend at Disneyland with Window to the Magic and tons of other Disney podcasts. If you happen to be in town in the area, hang out with us. We have little mini meetups throughout the day. Also, on September 3rd and 4th, I will be running the Dumbo Double Dare Challenge at the Disneyland Half Marathon weekend. So at some point, we'll have to have a meetup there.
And then speaking of Steven Sansweet, on November the 5th, we're going to be at the Rancho Obi-Wan fundraiser event in Petaluma, California.
That's going to be awesome.
I know probably Donald Wicks will be there, Joey Pittman will be there.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of Skywalkers up there. So we'd love to see you guys, all you Northern California Skywalkers.
And now that it's not on Halloween,
oh, yes.
now we can go.
Yeah, we're so excited. And it's the 5th year anniversary of this event. So we're very excited to attend Rancho Obi-Wan's event. And for the life of me, the name of it is escaping me.
I don't think there is a name yet.
Oh, okay. It's not Galloween. We know that.
No. Then on November the 12th, this is a race I'm going to join in on.
Yay!
It's the Doctor Strange 10K.
Yes, and that's at the Superheroes Half Marathon weekend at Disneyland this year. And that's
formerly known as the Avengers Half Marathon.
Right.
But now they opened it up to lots of other superheroes. Now with Doctor Strange coming out in November, they want to open it up to him and other superheroes in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think the 10K race will be changing every year to whatever movie is coming out that year. So maybe next year we'll get a Thor 10K.
Greatest marketing ever.
I know, right? Which means the medal changes, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Then I'm sure we'll have lots of meetups in December around Rogue One.
That's true.
So details to follow on where we're going to be meeting up, but chances are somewhere on the sidewalk in Hollywood in front of the Man's Chinese Theater. I'm sorry, the TCL, Grauman's, IMAX, 3D, Deluxe, formerly known as
now I don't even know.
Chinese Theater West.
Yes, okay.
So just look on the sidewalk. I'm sure we'll be there.
Yeah, so 2016, full of meetups. 2017, we even have a few scheduled meetups, including Star Wars Celebration Orlando during Star Wars Celebration.
In April, right over Easter weekend.
Yes.
Thanks, Celebration.
Yes.
But you know what? We'll get to spend the holidays with our extended Skywalker family.
Yay, I'm so excited. Aww.
So you know what? I'm now fully charged and excited about being there over the Easter weekend.
Absolutely.
So during the holiday, instead of Easter, we're going to all celebrate the Hoojib holiday.
That's right. Yay!
Our first Hoojib holiday with our extended Skywalker family. I'm getting too excited now.
Yay! Me too. But there's also something more to look excited about.
Let's cruise on over to our next meetup.
Oh, and that is September 17th through 22nd, 2017. We're going on a 5-night Skywalking Disney cruise to Baja, Mexico on the Disney Wonder. So if you want to join us.
You read that wrong. It's the Disney Oneater.
The Oneaters. That's the Wonders.
Oh, the Oneaters. If you get that, you get a point. Tweet to us at Skywalking Pod. Aw. Okay, so if you want to join us for this cruise, it's sailing out of San Diego. And to get more info, head to storiesofthemagic.com/cruise quote and click on the orange Get a Quote button in the upper left corner to get a free no obligation quote. So by doing this, you're just getting information, you're not committing to anything. And Randy Crane, who is with Stories of the Magic, who we are sharing this event with, he will be scheduling you or helping you and telling you all the details. So we're very excited. And in the comment section, when you ask for a quote, just mention Skywalking Through Neverland so he knows you want to be a part of our group.
So that's just some of the meetups we have in store for you Skywalkers, so let us know which one will be seeing you.
Yes.
And now we want to hear from you for our future Skywalker stories. We want to hear all about a specific story within your fandom, whether it be Disney, Star Wars, whatever. Just that one thing that really gets you excited when you're in a group of people all talking about your favorite fandom stories. Which one do you want to share with your fellow Skywalkers?
That's right. They can be funny or heartfelt, happy or sad. They all kind of make us the fan we are today. So think back. What's that moment that stands out for you? You can email us at skywalkingthroughneverland.com and you could be on the show.
Now, we are part of RetroZap.com, where you can find awesome shows like Brews and Blasters,
Techno Retro Dads. And if you're into gaming, there are several gaming podcasts there, including ArgCast, which is a retro gaming podcast, and also the Trade Federation podcast keeps you up to date on all things Star Wars Card Trader app from Topps. It's basically a podcast all on that app. So if you have that app and you don't quite know what to do with it, that's a good podcast to listen to.
And you can also hear our spin-off show, Talking Apes TV, where Mark Gushewitz and I are talking about the animated Planet of the Apes series, Return to the Planet of the Apes. And these shows are getting funny. Just not on purpose funny.
Really?
They are funny.
Oh, you mean the animated
The animated Planet
shows?
of the Apes, yeah. When you have apes driving Hitler mobiles and airplanes, things just turn funny.
Okay, that sounds fun. And right now, going on, there is a sale at our TeePublic store where we have 10 t-shirt designs for you to peruse. There is also a new t-shirt design available, a special Star Wars Rebels Firebird Mickey ears design, which looks awesome on all the t-shirts they have. And I do want to tell you that at TeePublic, they not only have t-shirts for adults, they have kids t-shirts and little onesies. And the designs look so adorable on these onesies, I know. So if you want to head over there, please head to skywalkingthroughneverland.com and click on the Support Us tab. There you will find a link to our TeePublic store. You can also shop Her Universe through that Support Us tab as well. And if you do that, that gives a little money to us, so we appreciate that.
And we are heavily at work on the Skywalking Through Neverland Awesome Jingle Mix Volume 1 with Rob Dellinger.
Oh, it's so exciting. I'm
Yeah.
working on cover art.
And we're working on ideas how you could become part of this awesome jingle mix.
Mm-hmm.
But details to follow.
Details to follow. We're still working on it behind the scenes. All right, Skywalkers, of course, we love it when you chat with us during the week. We are always available. We are at Skywalking Pod for most social media outlets, including Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, and Snapchat. And our Facebook group, well, it is pretty awesome. And it's like our Skywalker family lives there. So just search Facebook for Skywalking Through Neverland group and ask to join. And of course, you can always email us, share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com.
Let's gun for another iTunes review for next episode.
We will, and you know what? I just looked there a couple hours ago, and there were like 3 new reviews.
Wow.
So we want to thank you, Skywalkers, so much, and maybe next week for shout-outs, we'll go into those reviews a little bit. So I want to thank you so much. We have some really awesome 5-star reviews on there. For some reason, we have like 6 1-star reviews, but it's still showing that our podcast is total 5 stars.
6?
Yes, I don't know.
Recently?
I don't know. Well, they're not written reviews. It's just this someone clicked the stars, and I'm not sure why. There's like no 4 stars. There's like 3 2-star, or I don't know.
You know what? You can't please everybody.
It's true. So I'm just wondering why there's 1 stars there when we all work so hard. So
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know.
You just can't please every single fan.
It's
just
true.
ask George Lucas.
Maybe the dark side was taking hold.
All right, everyone. With that, we're going to wrap things up by saying, always remember to just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
To Alderaan. Just don't land there. Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. See you next week.
Happy Father's Day! Love you, Dad.
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said.
Okay, Richard, now you're turning that to a bad place.
Hey, I know it's late night, but come on. This is a family show. Yeah, that actor, wasn't he in Force Awakens?
He certainly was. He was one of the patrons of Maz's castle.
Yeah.
Just quickly looking up.
I've been tweeting about it all day, and I've somehow forgotten his. Hold on.
Hit the record button. How about that? That'll start us off.
Yes.
Stop playing to the camera.
Where's Mrs. Reb W? She hasn't
What
been
the
here
heck?
in a while.
No, I think she talked about my hair, how she liked it.
Oh.
Even though it's just up in a bun, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
like
All
Santa
right.
Claus. He does. Like Santa Rex. That's scary.
Okay. All right. I guess it's my turn first. Okay.
The hair episode of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Okay. You say action because you're the director.
All right, ready? And here we go, and action! Hey, Skywalkers! Welcome to
Skywalking Through Neverland. And your mobile goes. Man, pay attention to this.
Something's banging around outside.
I don't care.
Okay, then me neither. If you don't care, I don't care.
I don't care. That's outside. We're inside.
Yeah.
So the things we want to share just went. Why it took so long for a sequel.
You sounded like Jerry Seinfeld.